Alright, hi everyone, Matchit Gamer here, and today's topic, video topic, more or less, is to talk about, and celebrate the 31st anniversary of Dragon Ball. For those of you that are not aware, on this day, 31 years ago, Dragon Ball Chapter 1 was released in issue number 51 of Shonen Jump magazine in November, on the 20th. And that is where everything ensued that we now have today in regards to Dragon. Now, before I get into it, just to clarify, this video is going to be in celebration of it, but it's also going to be talking about how the series has affected me personally, because, this series has affected me so much as an individual, and I'm sure it's affected many of y'all as well, and the other countless DBZ YouTubers that have channels in regards to this stuff. I mean, and bloggers and podcasts and websites. I mean, the list goes on and on. This series has affected people in various ways, some positive, and surprisingly, there's actually some people that it affected negatively, but whatever. Anyways, so before we get into it, just want to clarify about some things. It's been announced that they are releasing a Dragon Ball Super History book or something like that in Japan next year. To be clear, this is not the history of Dragon Ball Super. It is just Dragon Ball then Super history book, and all that means is it's covering the history of the entire series. I'm not sure if it means covering the timeline within the series, like the in-universe timeline, or if they're like covering everything that's went down in real life history. But feel free to check that out. I'll link a video down in the description of Geekdom 101's channel where he talks about it. Knows far more than I do on it, so check his channel out. I'll post a link down below for it. Anyways, so just gonna give you a bit of a story here, and sorry this video goes on longer than my other DBZ topic videos, okay? That said, so let's rewind time back to the 90s. Ah, yes, I was just a young lad. Well, I'm still young, but I mean, I'm a little kid at this point. I'm still in elementary school when Dragon Ball Z actually airs. I seen Dragon Ball Z first before I seen Dragon Ball. That's because of how they air. We'll get into that later. So, Dragon Ball Z airs on Toonami when I'm a kid on Cartoon Network. And I remember seeing it for the first time. I had watched cartoons in the past that were alright and actiony, some of them funny, like, there was Looney Tunes and stuff that they showed reruns of constantly. And then they had some Hannah and Joseph Barbera cartoons, such as, Flintstones, Jetsons, things like that. And there was Tom and Jerry. All sorts of typical cartoons I watched back in the 90s. Then, finally, I get introduced to anime. Dragon Ball Z. And we had a few others on airing at the time. There was Sailor Moon, Rurouni Kenshin, and Pokemon over on the WB, on Kids WB, now known as the CW. But yeah, I was watching that. Out of all those, I mostly watched Dragon Ball Z. That was what I longed to watch, and they showed that every single Saturday, and I enjoyed it. It was like it felt special. It was so different to me compared to everything else. And the funny part was, I didn't even know it was anime back then. I just thought it was another cartoon. I just thought it was a new style that somebody somewhere out there decided, hey, this was cool to draw in. Let's do this. I didn't know what anime was back then. I was a little kid. I weren't familiar with Japanese culture back then. Like, heck, I didn't even know Japan was a country yet, I don't think, because I hadn't quite started taking world history, or, well, I did, but I didn't learn about that particular area of the world yet when I was going through school. They mostly taught us, Egypt, some European stuff, and obviously American stuff. That's about all I remember covering elementary school. So, this was severely new to me, and I was just excited to watch Dragon Ball every day. As time went on and I got to middle school, I then learned that, oh, so this is not American made. This is from Japan, and it's translated. Okay, awesome. And little did I know that it had a original English dub before the one I was introduced to. I was introduced to the Funimation dub, not the Canadian dub. The Canadian dub was done first in English. But I never heard that one before. Or excuse me, I have in recent years, but at the time I hadn't heard of it. And frankly, I prefer the Funimation dub. No offense to those of you that prefer the Canadian dub. If you prefer the Canadian dub, I have mad respect for you and nothing against you, man. If that's your preference, sir or madam, that is your preference. Good on you. So, continuing. In middle school, I constantly, you know, talked with my friends about it, like where we thought the series was going. And at the time, I think we were just getting into the Android saga in my middle school, while I was in middle school. I don't remember exactly where at in the Android saga we were, but I remember it, and I was excited because there was this huge long break before we finally got into it. Like, after, I remember after Goku was shouting at the top of his lungs in anime, no, you know, right when Planet Namek blew up, I was like, no, no. Is that really how the series is going to end? Freaking cliffhanger? You're not going to help, you're not going to give me more? And then, sure enough, we start getting these little hints and previews on Toonami that, Frieza somehow is back, and Goku's alive, and all this other stuff, and I was waiting, I'm like, oh my god, you know, this is back before stuff like the internet, you know, like how we had the internet today. We didn't have that kind of stuff back when I was a kid. Like, we had the internet, but we didn't have the accessibility to go and look up what was going to happen in the next episode of Dragon Ball Z like that, you know? I mean, nowadays, whenever it comes to, like, Dragon Ball Super and the manga, like, the second anything leaks, it's instantly spread around the web. Back then, we didn't have that kind of luck. You were lucky if you knew what was going to happen next before anybody else. In fact, you were thought of as the cream of the crop back then. Now it's just typical, like, you can go on the internet and find out just about anything as long as it's been leaked, whether it be intentional or unintentional. So, going back to the story here, so, I remember I was all excited, and, you know, we started talking, and then my friends were one of those kids that would go around and, like, sell, like, photos that they printed off the internet of, like, Dragon Ball Z stuff that we had not got over here yet. And I remember I got this one picture, it was Goku and Super Saiyan 3, but I didn't know there were levels beyond even Super Saiyan 1 yet, so I'm like, what the heck is this form, is what I was thinking. I'm looking at this, Goku's got long hair, I know it's Goku. So I'm like, what the heck is this guy, what the heck is this guy? My friend's like, I don't know, just Goku with longer hair. And he didn't know either. He just went out and found some Dragon Ball Z photos that just happened to be floating around on the internet that he managed to print off. So I'm sitting here scratching my head going, what the heck is this? And I would not find out that there was a Super Saiyan 3 for quite some time. So continuing with the story, I eventually decided that Gohan was my favorite character at one point, because I felt like I related to him. You know, he was a kid that studied hard, but, you know, he was strong with, you know, whenever he got angry, and to a degree I was like that. Whenever I got, I studied a lot, and I was strong when I was a little kid when I got angry, or at least so my friends say. I think they were just being nice, I don't know, but either way, so going further, we have this really long break in between the end of the Android saga after Gohan beats Cell before we get into the Buu saga. I remember it was a long time, and honestly, I thought after they killed Cell, I thought that was the end of it all. I thought, you know, the series was done. Little did I know, Buu saga was around the corner, and we finally get that. I'm like, awesome. And then, one of my most favorite moments in Dragon Ball Z. It's not my number one favorite moment, one of my favorite moments. Goku just shows Super Saiyan 3 off. I know I'm jumping around a lot here, but I'm trying not to make this video too astronomically long, okay? So, Goku just shouts and screams for Super Saiyan 3. I'm like, oh my god, what the heck? I mean, and this is when I finally understood how voice acting works at the time. I mean, I'm still young, but I had a concept of how voice acting worked finally at this point in time in my life, and the only thing I could think of is whoever's voicing Goku, like, they're gonna tear up their freaking vocal cords. And funny story, I actually read what do you call it, a Q&A or something like that with the voice actor of Goku, Sean. He actually said, like, his throat was sore for a few weeks after doing that. There was a rumor that floated around he passed out in the booth, but he said, no, that actually happened in GT. But we'll get into that later. So, anyways, finally we get over into, you know, all the Buu saga's done, and then, you know, I'm wondering, okay, great, that's the end of the series, and I was a little sad, and Then they decide to show Dragon Ball, and I'm like, what the heck? And I'm watching it, and I thought Dragon Ball was something new, and it turns out like Dragon Ball came before Dragon Ball Z. I didn't know that because, again, you know, I didn't have access to the internet to that degree that would let me look that up, and it wasn't readily available on the internet to look up. So, you know, I watch all Dragon Ball, I think that's neat, and I'm thinking, wow, like, Goku was relatively strong when he was a kid, and I found it funny. It wasn't super serious like Dragon Ball Z was, but I enjoyed it. If I had to pick a moment that stood out to me in Dragon Ball, it was just whenever Goku went and completely wrecked the Red Ribbon Army. I mean, can you imagine if something like that happened in real life? Just a little kid waltz up in there with a magical stick that rides on a cloud and just beats an entire single-handedly by himself? I mean, the freaking media would flip out if that happened in real life. But man, that's my favorite moment. Continuing, then we get GT, and I'm sure many of y'all figured out by now I'm not a big fan of GT, and there are various reasons for that. The story was garbage. It mostly focused on Goku. That's not to say I hate Goku. In fact, Goku's one of my favorite characters. Well, actually, he is my favorite character. Gohan was, but that changed after, just, for some reason, I started leaning towards more liking Goku than Gohan. I don't know why whenever it came to picking my favorite character, but my mind changed on whom I preferred in terms of characters. But I didn't like that they focused on Goku so much in GT. Yes, the other characters are there, but overall, it mostly focused on Goku, and I did not like that. So the story is garbage. It focused on Goku. Tons of inconsistencies, things that didn't make sense, stuff we've seen him do that they've never, ever been conceivably able to do before. I mean, the list goes on and on, but I'm not a big fan of GT. But that said, I have watched the entire series. I gave it a chance. I've watched it 3 times in my whole life, start to finish, and watched the movie associated with it twice. I've watched the series 3 times, the movie 2 times in my entire life. And the reason I watched it 3 times is because I had that moment of maybe it wasn't as bad as I thought twice. So first time I decided I didn't like it, then here it is years later, I'm like, well, maybe it wasn't as bad as I thought. Watch it, it was. And then years later, maybe it wasn't as bad as I thought. Watch it, it was. Now, that's not dissing on anybody out there that likes GT. If you like GT, that's fine by me, man. I don't care what you watch in terms of Dragon Ball stuff. If you like watching fan-made stuff, that's your thing. If you like watching GT, that's your thing. And God forbid, if you like watching Dragon Ball Evolution, that is the worst thing that has ever come out in relation to Dragon Ball content. I mean, I can say negative things about GT all day, but I will certainly say GT was far better than Dragon Ball Evolution. I watched GT 100 billion more times before I ever watched that garbage of Dragon Ball Evolution. Whoever managed to sweep that past Toriyama's eyes needs to have their hands and feet chopped off and sacrificed to a ancient deity that will torture him for all eternity or something, okay? That's it. So, continuing further, you know, finally GT's over with. We've had all the Dragon Ball content. We wouldn't see anything else for years and years and years to come. Okay? So, I've watched all Dragon Ball Z, I've seen all Dragon Ball, I've seen all GT, and I've seen all the movies at that point too. Excluding the Dragon Ball movies. I didn't watch any of those back then, but I've watched them in recent years, to clarify, but back then I hadn't. So I was a little sad. I'm like, great, so Dragon Ball's over with, Dragon Ball Z and GT's done, so what the heck is there, you know? That's all I can think about, like, what is there? And for many years, I actually didn't know what to do. Sure, I eventually got to where stuff like that was readily available on the internet. I could just go and watch it whenever I wanted, so I went and rewatched stuff, but I mean, we wouldn't get more content for years. I mean, sure, there were video games constantly being released of it, which were awesome. In fact, I actually have a personal record on Dragon Ball Z Budokai 1 for the PlayStation 2. I can beat the entire game and unlock every capsule and every character, beat every tournament mode, and the entire story in less than a day. I want to say I can do it within a little over 12 hours. Now, I know that sounds impossible, but I have done it. Now, and that's without cheat codes, mind you. Well, not cheat codes, because they didn't technically have cheat codes in that. It's more of a Game Shark thing that was around for stuff like that, but I didn't have a Game Shark at the time for stuff like that. I got Game Sharks later for other stuff, but that's besides the point. Anyways, so yeah, we were still getting video games, but that's about it. We didn't get Dragon Ball Online over here, which was released in 2008, and I was like 18 when that came out, but I didn't know if that even existed at the time. And we would never get it over here. I'm not even sure they did like a trial to see if we even be interested in it, which I wish they would have, because I'm pretty sure there would have been enough support for it to be released over here, but nope, we didn't get that. Anyways, so other animes I got into since Dragon Ball was finished, the run was done. So I went around, you know, like I heard about AF and stuff like that. Later, much later in my life, though, I found out that that was just fake thing, fan-made stuff and stuff like that, but I didn't know that when I was younger. So I watched other series, you know, like I watched One Piece, I watched Naruto, I watched Bleach, still read Bleach manga to this day, despite what everybody says about it being garbage, but that's a topic in itself for another day, and I'm not sure if I'll talk about that on my channel. I might make a separate channel for talking about Bleach stuff or an entire separate series, who knows, but enough about that. So yes, I did go around and watch other anime and stuff, and that's not to say while Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that was on here, I didn't watch other stuff. I did watch Sailor Moon, and I can say that with pride. I watched Sailor Moon. I wasn't so anime snobby and so boy snobby that I weren't afraid to. I weren't afraid to watch other series, even if they were girly things. In fact, the funniest thing I can remember is whenever I was a kid, I had a family member that would go and clean apartments, and whenever they clean apartments, you know, if they found stuff they thought we liked, they bring it there and give it to us. Well, one of my family member brought home a anime DVD. Now, funny story, they asked, do you recognize this DVD? Do you know what this is? And, of course, I didn't know. This is a female family member of mine that's much older than I am. Like, she's like my... I ain't gonna say exactly what she is, but she's older than me, she's not my mom. So, that limited your candidates. Anyways... she doesn't understand anime either, by the way, okay? So she brings this home and asks if I've ever seen it before. I'm like, no, but I want to watch it, you know, being a little kid, I want more anime. I kind of, now, funny thing is, I never did get to watch it, and I never found out why, or I should say I did, but through my own means. You see, as I got older, I was thinking about it, and I constantly would think back to the cover of that case, and to this day I can still remember the cover. I can't remember exactly what it said, but I remember the picture of the cover. Now I know why now I never got to watch it, because my mom and them brought it back to their room to watch and see what it was and see if it was okay for me and my brother and cousins to watch, because we were all in anime when we were kids. I'm still in anime, and so is my brother, but my cousins aren't anymore. It was a hentai DVD, and I didn't know that as a kid. I didn't know what hentai was. I've never even seen porn before that point in my life. To this day, I actually don't watch porn, and as hard as that is to believe, and if you want to call BS on that, by all means, go ahead. But anyways, that's besides the point. So, now I know it's a hentai DVD, but back then I didn't, and it makes me laugh thinking that I actually told my family, yeah, I know what that is, even though I didn't know what it was. I was just trying to look for an excuse to be able to get in and watch it, because I wanted to see more anime. Boy, I wonder if that would have screwed me up at a young age if I would have watched that, but, yeah, Dragon Ball really set the course for me to really explore and watch other anime, and it got me really into Japanese culture. The Japanese culture is the one I'm most familiar with besides my own. I do take an interest in other cultures, but Japanese is where most of my foreign interest is in. So, continuing further, eventually, you know, as you know, we eventually got Yo Son Goku and Friends Return. And then, of course, finally we got a awesome new movie that was canon, and when I finally understood what continuity was. And people out there still don't understand how continuity works and things like that. It's hard to explain, and I don't think I'll ever be able to put it into words properly to where people understand what continuity is. So, we finally get Battle of Gods, Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods, and I remember it was like, oh my god, a new Dragon Ball Z movie. I was so excited. I'm in my 20s and I'm excited. I'm 25, by the way, so I'm so freaking excited to see this. I couldn't believe it. I was like, yes, we're getting a new movie, and then it's like, no word from Funimation on when we were going to get it. Now I'm constantly checking the internet day by day, week by week, month by month. And then finally, Funimation's like, hey, we're dubbing it. We're going to put it in the theaters too, by the way. It's like, yes. And the second tickets went on sale for that thing, I went on the internet and I bought tickets. I was the first person in my town to not only buy the tickets, but go and pick them up. And I was the first person at the theater when the movie premiered. I wasn't the only person in the theater when it, by the time the movie started, but I was the first person there, first person to find a seat, first person to sit down and watch it. Or get ready to watch it, I should say. I weren't the only first person there to watch it. There were other people that got there to watch it too, but day one showing. So, of course, that's over with, and then I managed to pre-order the Super Uber Special Edition that they were doing through Funimation, which wasn't as awesome as the Japanese version, which came with like a statue of Super Saiyan God Goku, which I wish we would have got over here, but we didn't. I think GameStop on their Power Up Rewards program is actually selling the statue, but I think it's like a slightly altered version or something, but I had to check. Anyways. So, of course, now, okay, that's done. So, I start hearing rumors around the web that there's going to be a second movie. Okay, and then sure enough, Dragon Ball Resurrection F, but nobody knew what it was, so it's like, okay, so this is going to be the next movie, what's it about? And like, details were hidden for a while, nobody knew what was next. And I'm sure many of y'all know this because you're around for it, obviously. If you're alive now, if you're alive right now and old enough to comprehend basic English and follow the series for some reason, you know what I'm talking about here. So, continuing further, yeah, we get that we get that little hint, and like we're told worst wish in history. I'm like thinking, what's the worst wish in history? I mean, what did they wish for? I was thinking of countless things, and not a single one of them was right. Not once did I guess Frieza was being brought back. I should have probably guessed that from the name Resurrection F, but I didn't. Or wait a minute, it's called Fukatsu no F, and I didn't understand that, and I didn't bother to take the time for some stupid reason to take time to translate it until much later in the revealing of the title, of the full title of the movie's meaning, and who was being brought back, and blah, 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 blah. And I was so looking forward to this, and every time, and the second it premiered in Japanese theaters, I'm not gonna lie, I was looking for ways to watch, and I couldn't. And I would have never downloaded and sold it illegally. I would have just wanted to find it, watch it, and I had every intention of buying it later when it finally came out over here in English. So, and actually I do own an English copy of it, as y'all know from one of my previous videos. Go check that out. So, finally, you know, we get it over here in English eventually, and then it gets released, and now here we are, and we got Dragon Ball Super, which I watch on a regular basis. I was actually able to watch it the day it premiered in Japan. Well, I wasn't in Japan, but I watched it the day it premiered in Japan over a live feed on the internet. And it didn't have any subtitles, obviously. And the guy that was playing it talked a little too much, but more or less, I got to hear everything that happened, and I got to watch everything that happened. I was happy. I got to see Dragon Ball Super. I was like, yes! I got to see something the second it aired, and it just made me so happy as a fan to experience that. So I think I can safely say that Dragon Ball has definitely influenced me. I mean, heck, it gave me something to make a channel around. And I mean, I'm not the first person to make a YouTube channel around Dragon Ball, obviously. I mean, I can list so many people that have been doing this for so much longer than me. Quaman, Geekdom 101, let me see, Rhyme Style, Thundershot, I mean, see what I'm doing here? I've already listed 4, and I can list more. But those guys have been doing it long before I have. And it's just that I got in late into the game, and that's just because I doubted my skills. And doing this has developed my confidence in Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball in itself has given me so much confidence and made me think much better of myself. So, before I end out this video, I invite each and every one of you, my subscribers, and anybody that happens to see this video, to go down in the comment section below and say how Dragon Ball Z, GT, whatever material how it has affected you, made you grow as a person, and how much you appreciate it. And above all else, make sure to tell Toriyama over the internet how much you appreciate the hard work he put into making this series. That said, Akira Toriyama, if you happen to be watching this, thank you very, very much for making this series. I greatly appreciate it. I cannot thank you enough for developing the awesome series known as Dragon Ball. I know you spent many years of your life developing it, and as of today, with Dragon Ball Super, you are still working hard to develop outlines for your story and continue your stuff. I cannot thank you enough, and I hope you will be able to do it for many more years to come. That said, don't work yourself too hard, sir. I mean, like, we really don't want you to kill over from working too hard. Anyway, so thank y'all for watching. I know this is way, way, way longer than most of my other videos. It's almost 30 minutes long in terms of Dragon Ball videos, which is funny because my Let's Plays are about this long, but this is the longest I ever talk in regards to Dragon. But yeah, thank y'all for watching. Make sure to like, rate, comment, subscribe, and please stay tuned to the end where I will talk about, you know, the Indiegogo project I'm working with. And once again, thank you, Akira Toriyama. Happy 31st anniversary, Dragon Ball. It's been an awesome series, and I hope to enjoy it much, much more for many, many years to come. So, yeah, peace. Alright, to those of you that are still watching, thank you very much. Again, happy 31st anniversary Dragon Ball. I know technically a lot of people are saying 30, but it's actually the 31st because we do 2015 and subtract 1984, adds up to 31, my friends. Adds up to 30, or subtracts up to 31 in this by technicality. Anyways, that's besides the point. So, anyways, back on the topic here. Here's a little Indiegogo project I'm working with. It is Monstars Plush Anime, Gaming, and Cosplay Addicts. For those of you that don't know, there's a company known as Gaijin USA Incorporated, and they want to make a plushie of their mascot, which is this fella right here, this blue little bugger right here. And we need $7,000 in order to do this. And we hope to raise it within 35 days, and we currently have a grand total of 520 of that raised. And to those of you that have donated that 520 altogether, thank you very much. We greatly appreciate it. So, for those of you that are not familiar with Gaijin USA Incorporated, they sell a product you may be a tad more familiar with that goes by the name of the Starbots. They sell it at conventions and even sell it on our website. And for those wondering, yes, I will leave a link to their website down in the description if you are interested in buying one of their boxes. But what it is, more or less, it's a mystery grab box type thing full of anime and gaming items that you may be interested in. Most people are anyways. I mean, I've sold some before and seen some awesome stuff come out of them that I wish I would have bought the bots, and now I ultimately regret not buying one specifically that had an awesome bathrobe themed after Goku's outfit from Dragon Ball Z. But I don't know if how often they put those in there, if they even get those that often, but who knows, you might be lucky and get one. Sure wish I would have bought the box I seen that one come out of, but oh well. Anyways, so that said, yeah, $7,000 to get this plushie this fella made right here. And for those of you wondering, we do have some awesome perks to help to maybe help y'all consider donating. You know, if you can give $1, give $1. But if you can give more, give more. And if you can't give anything at all, then at the very least, help spread the word by spreading the link to this project around the web and letting people know we exist and we need help. That said, if you're interested, we do have some perks to maybe convince you to donate a little bit more. If you donate $3, you get a button. And there's only 1,000 of those to claim, or I should say 998 to claim, since 2 of them have been claimed. So $3 gets you a button that more or less says, I donated, and it has a picture of the mascot on it. You donate 19, you actually get a Monstar plush, when they're developed, of course, and 2 out of 400 have been claimed. You donate 40, you get 2 of them, and 3 out of 200 have been claimed. If you donate $90, you get 3 of them, 1 out of 100 have been claimed, and if you donate a whopping 200, yes, that is right, folks, $200 will get you 4 of the plushies and a anime and gaming mystery box. Who knows what may be contained in one of those, and 0 out of 35 have been claimed. So who knows, you could be one of the lucky 35 to get one. So, for those of you that aren't familiar with this, if you haven't heard about the Monstars and what they are, I've read this before, but I'll read it again. No one really knows where they came from. The crew of a cargo ship discovered them in an unmarked box that mysteriously appeared in their hold. They have been part of the ship's crew ever since. There always seems to be more and more of them popping up. They love anime and video games to the point they try to eat geeky items when excited. They can be found reading manga, playing games, and cosplaying when they are not helping Starlight and the crew procure more rare items to transport for a fee. So, here's just a basic drawn-up spec of what the Monstar will look like, the Monstar plush. And then here's a more close to realistic looking one based on the plushie design we want to do. Just to clarify, it will be blue like this one, not green. This is just a mock, I guess you could say, prototype of it to kind of give you an idea of what it'll look like as an actual plushie to a degree, but this is not what it will look like in the final design. Obviously, it'll have more of a point for a tail, and facial features and other such things. And of course, it will be blue, not green. Now, just to go even further, we do eventually plan on releasing a cosplay line of these at some point. We don't really know when, but at some point we will. But that is assuming this project works out and everything goes according to plan. But let's just assume it does. The cosplay line, an example of it will basically be your standard Monstar, but it'll be dressed in clothes. In this case, this one's obviously dressed as Link from The Legend of Zelda, as you can plainly see here. And for those wondering what the button looked like, here's a picture of the button, just for future reference. But I want to thank y'all for watching. Make sure to like, rate, comment, subscribe. Check out the link to this. Check out the link to the Starbots website if you want to buy one of their awesome boxes. And, yeah, donate if you can. If you can only give $1, give $1. Give more if you can. And also, above all else, whether you can donate or not, please make sure to spread the word about us. You know, take the link, post it on your social media, post it on forums you go to, blogs, YouTube channels that you visit regularly, other than mine, of course. You're more than welcome to post it here, but I'm already posting it, so kind of defeats the purpose. But, you know, if you want to, go ahead. But otherwise, post around. Thank you very much, and, yeah, peace. Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z/Kai, Dragon Ball GT, and Dragon Ball Super are all owned by Fuji TV, Toei Animation, Funimation, and Akira Toriyama. I do not claim to own any of these. The video and any images that appear were used under fair use.